Hi, welcome to Nia's Divine Garden. This is Dania, and I'm back with a real special video. I'm going to privately apologize. I normally don't do these on the weekends when I have my kids, but I felt really, really called. So you're going to hear them talking, doing things in the background. You know, I'm probably going to be momming in between, but yeah, know I'm a mother, so it is what it is. But this is a very special video. I want to give a shout out to Joseph Baba Ifa for his channel uh, and inspiring this video. He did a really great podcast episode talking about Sango. And as I'm listening, I'm like, all these like moments were happening, and a comment box was not sufficient. And I feel like this is me coming around. And I'll talk more about that as I go further. But definitely check out his podcast episode. I'm gonna link it in the description box. I'm gonna try not to give away everything, but like I just want you to see, like these are my notes. From here, these are my notes. And once you hear about being a child of Shango, then you'll be like, oh, this makes perfect sense. And I wanted to talk about this journey because I don't do a lot of E5 videos, even though I'm initiated. And some of my videos are just more broad holistically, but I feel like doing this video in the way that I can do it will be something that people, whether you're in the tradition or not, can recognize and see and understand. So let me check on the kiddos real fast and we'll get started. So before I get started, I'm going to introduce myself again. My name is Dania. That is my birth name, but I am initiated as Ianifa Daniafa Omi Shango. And this has been such an interesting journey. And what I realized after listening to this podcast is that this journey started well before I even knew what Ifa was. So I just want to talk about um, a little bit about my Ifa journey. So 2020 was a really interesting year for most people. For me, spiritually, most especially. The spiritually thing. Okay, as you can see, I've relocated because my son is loud. You can still hear him, but it ain't gonna be like it is if I'm sitting right there with him. So, like I said, I want to start with my E5 journey. So 2020, interesting year. And of the many things, like astrology came back to me, numerology came back to me. I've talked to this on other episodes and on my podcast. But one of the other things that I discovered was Orisha. Um, and I feel like in some, depending on where you are in the um, diaspora, the United States portion of the diaspora, a lot of times that may be what comes up first for us as Black people when we're like learning more about African traditions. It's Orisha, but it also depends on where you are. You may end up learning Loa. You may tap into Hoodoo first. So this depends. But for me, I didn't realize Hoodoo showed up, but Orisha was the thing that stood out. And for me, it was like the discovery immediately awoke something in me. Like, this does not feel off to me. This feels very natural. And that was confusing. Like, why does this feel so natural to me? And then they showed up in dreams almost immediately. And I'm like, what's happening? I didn't understand. Um, but if you asked me in the beginning, I had no intention of initiating. I wanted to learn more, but I just really assumed I would be a devotee. Having grown up in an organized religion, that's not what I wanted. I now I still don't have that quite in the way, and I have a different perception of religion. Um, but I've talked about on another video. But um, I realized that there was just something calling me and I kept learning more. And one of the things about my journey is that I was doing the things to prepare for initiation and did not really realize I was preparing for initiation. I was learning how to, I was venerating my ancestors, and I was, giving offerings and sitting at, the altar that I had at the time, which eventually expanded into a room, giving offerings and things like that. I was talking to Orisha and learning more about them. And, I had an Orisha deck that was the closest thing I had to anything related to Orisha, but I learned so much. About Orisha and the Patakis. And it's interesting because I did not initiate into a Lecumi or Santeria tradition. So the Patakis, though, in that specific tradition, I initiated a traditional Ifa, really, really helped me understand. And I think that's what helped me understand Odu the way that I do. So I had this journey and, kept coming up. I needed an elder, I needed an elder. So I had one who was just specifically like, spiritual, but I eventually was led to my Ialode. And even again, when, my cousin got the divination session for me, I did not expect what happened. And, it came up, you're like, you're going to initiate and you're going to be a priest. And I'm just like, oh, and but at that time it was not, this is who you're going to be crowned or anything like that. um well, it was, but part of that ended up changing. But the way Shango first was introduced to me, beyond the learning about Shango and things like that, was Shango was the energy my future husband will carry. And I'm just like, okay, all righty then. And what I have learned now, and I even did a video about this, is that Shango's been present in the people, especially men, that I have cared very deeply for. The ones that really stand out to me all have an essence or something about them that reminds me of Shango. And I'm like, this makes sense to me. This makes sense. So that was it. Like, I didn't expect to initiate and be crowned with Shango. So, I'm learning, I'm doing the things, and fast forward, when it gets closer, it comes up again. Initiation comes up again in a future session with my ELO day. Because at this point, I'm studying and I'm learning, I'm taking the classes and things like that. And it comes up again. And so she's like, yo, gives me the dates and the times when she has something coming. She's like, you might want to consider. She's like, it's nothing wrong. Like, it's not one of those type of situations, but this has come up more than once. This is calling for you. And so, I do my, been doing my own work. So I, asked the aunt, like, if this is supposed to happen, it needs to feel like this. But as she's telling me who I will be crowned, like who I'm going to receive, Shango comes up. And I'm like, no, Child Shango. I was so confused. I was so confused. And the reason why I was confused is because of the few things that I knew about Shango, like this big energy, just such presence. And at that time, I'm still doing my self-love and inner work. So I had done a lot of work, but I still wasn't quite at the place where I felt like if I walked into the room, it was just me. Ain't nobody else here. I didn't have that kind of presence. Even being a leader, I very much represented a reluctant leader, and this is since childhood. If they give us a cool school project, I innately know, I can see it. I can see all the pieces coming together, but I don't necessarily want to lead. Inevitably, that ended up happening, but it wasn't what I felt like I wanted to do. Like, I just, no, be in charge. No. When I first got offered a promotion when I was working at Pizza Hut, it was like, hey, I had only been a waitress like 6 months. And she's like, I want to promote you to shift leader. And I joked with my manager. I said, you only promote me because managers don't get employees a month and you're tired of giving it to me. Because at that point, I had gotten it every month. And so she laughed. She's like, no, I really think you can do this. And I didn't see myself as a leader. Even the person I was dating at the time didn't see me as a leader. And she even told me, she's like, you're going to become a leader. They're going to try you because you're so nice, because you're so sweet and soft spoken. They're going to try you, and you're going to have to shift and step up in order for them. So I in this moment, realized how much gratitude I give her because, you know, had she not seen that in me, I don't know that I ever would have seen it in myself. And I led, like she offered me assistant manager very shortly after, like, you want assistant manager? But I didn't feel like I was ready. I waited a year before I took the assistant manager role. And it just didn't think, like, never thought of it. And then it was like, I could see myself not leading. So when I went to the company that I was last at, it was like, interview with your in-game manager, leader, in charge. Um, and the person in the interview who ended up being my initial manager was like, well, you're not gonna know what you're doing prior, for a while, and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, okay, hold on, I gotta sneeze. Okay, so it just came, but I just, even still with that, I was just like, no, like even when I dream about Shango, Shango is ginormous. Like, if you're picturing, like, and if you took Shaq and you took Shaq and then you took Mbaku and you kind of merged them and then gave them lots, gave that particular energy lots, but then made it even bigger. So you got to take Mbaku's size, and if you don't know Mbaku, Black Panther, go Google, and then you get Shaq, big, massive, and then you just make them like at least another foot and a half taller and a little bit broader and lots. That's how I see Shango in my dreams. And it's wild because I'm following somebody on TikTok and realize they look like, go sit down, go, no, take this and go sit down. You need two hands. Like I said, mommy. But he's giant. He's larger than life. And I'm just like, how you even fit in the planet looking this big? And so I was like, but I accepted and trusted. And what I know now, and I did this in a podcast episode. If y'all are, I'm a nerd and I watch anime, and I realized the guy sensei does what he unlocks the 9 gates. So the energy is always there. The chakra energy is always flowing, and it's always flowing through the gates, but it's not flowing like, you have to unlock the gate to get the full. So when you think about Orisha, I think about it in a similar manner. Orisha are the consciousness within nature. They are the consciousness of source energy flowing through Mother Nature. So whether it's the wind, the water, the rain, the thunder, the lightning, the farming, whatever, it is consciousness in all of these things. And because we as humans are also a divine reflection of nature, we carry all of those energies within us. We simply don't manifest them or display them all simultaneously. Those gates are not always fully open, but they do work when we need them. When we need to be nurturing and loving, the gate of Yemojam is what that energy is flowing through. If we need to find the target and really be on point, the gate of Ochosi is what's that energy is flowing through. If we need to center and trust in our divine guidance, divine sight, and our divine wisdom, it is the gates of issue that is being used. So when you think about Shango, it is the leadership, the charisma, there's so many things, and that's with the energy. Now, depending on who you are, there may be something going on in your life where you require more of that flow. This is why in a traditional Ifa setting, you don't immediately get all these Orisha. So I don't have, like, I have other Olekes for other reasons, but the affirms of who I'm crowned, I only at that time in my life when I went for initiation, the medicine that I needed, the gate that needed to be most unlocked in that time was Yemoja and Shango. I didn't need those other gates unlocked. It doesn't mean that I don't carry their energy. It just means that I didn't need the poof of that energy to come through me in order to tap into that energy. The energy is still present and accounted for. I just don't need that gate. At least at that time, that gate opened all the way up to have that energy flowing through me. Now, that being said, I didn't know what about Shango I needed. I didn't understand. It wasn't until I got through to initiation and I started channeling the message from Shango for me that I understood a bit more. And as I've continued to journey forward, understanding even further. This, however, helped bring it. It's like it's this full circle moment. And where I can stand and fully say, I am a priestess of Shango. When I walk in the room, you know. And even when I went to the village, I went to the village to a Shango festival, and I brought offering. You don't go to somebody's house, not bring an offering. So I brought offering. And when they were getting ready to do the prayer, and she put her hand on me, she said she was stuck. She couldn't move. She said she felt the storm literally pass through me into her. And she said, "You should warn people." And I'm like, I and that's how I felt. It was just like, I know, but I don't always know. You know what I'm saying? I'm now coming into a place of an even deeper knowing, but I still, and I think I set this intention early on that I never want to know so much where it doesn't, I'm never in awe. And so I am always in a place of awe. It's not that I'm not in a place of acceptance, I'm just always in a place of awe. I'm just always in a place of awe. When someone says something to me about my energy, my spirit, what they see when they're talking to me, around me, engaging with me, even when I did my show the other weekend and someone said, you are morphing on stage, and then all of a sudden the room filled with spirit. As you were calling them, it filled the room filled. I was like, oh shit. I was still in awe. I knew. Like I know. And so, but initially that relationship with Jaco, I didn't know. I didn't understand. I didn't know. Honestly, the word is worthy. I don't know that I felt worthy to be called because it's such a huge calling. Everything I heard about Sango is like one of the Orishas that is, also an ancestor. And he was a king. And I'm like, okay, that's big king, master diviner. Like there's different stories where Shango was the one who learned divination first and taught it to Arumila. And so again, you're thinking about who Arumila is, the witness to destiny. And then Shango taught the witness to destiny how to divine and share that destiny to others. And I'm just like, that's a lot. That's a lot. But I also realized the synchronicity and how I've continued to learn about myself. So when it comes to what Joseph Baba Ifa talked about on the podcast, I mean, like I'm cleaning up and literally stopped and started to write. So I'm just going to hit some of these things. I'm not going to say quickly. I'm just going to hit them and share. And then I hopefully this explains things. And for those who are not, into Ifa or traditional African spirituality, understanding that Ifa still has one source. There is only one source. There is only the Most High. And everything else is an aspect, an emanation of that energy, including us. And so for me, what I see is how Shango's energy has been reflective in my entire life. So we're going to go from an astrology standpoint. Shango was associated with the planet of Uranus because Uranus is shock, awe, and lightning. It is literally shock, awe, and lightning. So Uranus is the modern day ruler of Aquarius. And I am an Aquarius sun. Not only am I an Aquarius sun, I'm Aquarius sun, Mars, and Mercury, among other things. I have a very nice stellium in Aquarius. So I have a lot of that energy naturally. A lot of that energy naturally. And Aquarius rules the 11th house, and I am a master 11 life path. So again, there's these synchronicities happening here. So one of the things that they talked about was being a child and really needing as a kid to be able to do it their own way. And I'm just like, you loud? Because I was that kid. Like I couldn't do this like everybody else. I had to do it different. It had to be different. I couldn't just wear a dress to school. I needed a dress and sneakers. Like I had to be different. And it wasn't that I'm like, oh, I want to be different. Like I just didn't want to do it like anybody else. It wasn't that, and at the same time for me, because I had self-esteem issues, I greatly I greatly wanted to be like everybody else. I both didn't want to be like everybody else and greatly desired to fit in, thus wanting to be like everybody else. But when I tried, it was never comfortable. The suit didn't fit. Um, Being loved by your parents, but also being the one that gives them the most head. My bad. My bad. Like, yeah, my bad. Like the black sheep. Yeah, yeah, that's me. Um, Not really seeing your full self at first, and then like all of a sudden, like that, and then you are merging as the king. And I thought that was a beautiful thing, like when they talked about his progression and how he began to elevate and this like real like this ahas as he's going along his journey. And I really see how that's been reflective in my own life and like me not really seeing myself and continuously playing small when that's not who I was meant to be. Enemies. And this is the one, it took me some time. So I want to define enemy first. So in fact, let me get the dictionary. Okay, and this is why I could not deal with the word enemy. And I got a triple one right now. So it says an enemy, based on Merriam-Webster, is one that is an antagonistic to another, especially one seeking to injure, overthrow, or confound an opponent, something harmful or deadly, a hostile unit of force. And I'm just like, I don't bother nobody. Like, why would I have like? For me, it was infallible. I couldn't understand. I could not. Anytime it ever comes up that says like you got an enemy, blah blah blah, I never ever really completely resonate with it because that's my only real perception of what an enemy is. And then when I talked to my therapist, is when things became someone can unconsciously or subconsciously be your enemy. And I'll use what they call the evil eye as an example. They say people give you the evil eye. And when they say that, they don't, the other one goes far enough with it and say, this person may not really in their heart feel like they dislike you. But in the moment when they're looking at you doing something they would like to be doing, and that passing thought of, why they get to do that? Why can't I do that? Blah, blah, blah. That energy can come out, especially with its emotion behind it, does and that's what manifestation is. And that's what spell work and intention is. It is the thought given momentum because there's emotion. So now that's energy in motion propelling this thought forward. And so the person may not be like, oh, I'm going to hex so and so, but unconsciously they are because that you're disruptive to their spirit. They may be going through something and they're not quite ready to grow or make that jump over to the next level. And they're watching you having gone through similar things start to grow and elevate, and they become an enemy. Now, you also may have people that just like, I don't want to see you successful. You're getting too close to where I'm here and I see you doing this in a rather quickly way, and I don't want to see you do this thing. So then you may have genuine, like actual, like enemies. And I'm like, no. But when I look and I listen and I pay attention to how enemies manifest, like, and sometimes it's like really undercover. Like all of a sudden, you've been doing something for a while. All of a sudden, you see this other person doing it too, and you're like, and you let it slide. But then it becomes a habit, and then it's like, oh, okay, okay. And they again made me no harm because it's unconscious. but it's still. So I had to really sit and accept that that was a possibility. Really, really innovative. Again, Aquarius energy. Aquarius is all about innovation. That's what, like, we're not going to do it the same way. It's just not. We may be doing the same thing, but it's not going to be like you're doing it. There's going to be something so unique that it's specifically ours. Big calling on life. Life path 11. So my numerology folks understand. Numerology, for the non-numerology folks, you have the single digits, and that's generally most of numerology. And then you have master numbers. So think big energy. It's got master in the front of it, means big. So my life path, the most important number in my chart, is a master number. Even my personality number is a master number. Both of my parents' destiny number is my life path number. And one of my parents has a master number 33 as their birth name. And one of my parents' name means prophet. Okay, all righty. A very strong connection to Egungun, which you'll understand the ancestors. And that, like, being a medium, and regularly I'm told, like, I don't just have like a handful of ancestors around me. There's always a gang, like a squad is present and around me. So that made sense. Natural spiritualist, um, everything got to be popping. What is basic? And that was so funny to me because all I could hear at my previous job, especially when I got promoted to team lead, was how extra I was. Why can't you do anything regular? Why you got to be so extra? Always, you're so extra. You can't be regular. It's got to be extra. Even, the level of detail, like, somebody's like, you didn't perform well Saturday. You put on a good show. And I was really like you could ask the people who are in the show. I sent them an outline. This is the show outline. This is timing. This is breaks. This is music intro. Like, outline, full outline ahead of time. So, they knew how I wanted the show to flow. My son is fine. He's just loud. But yeah, and that's where sometimes even when I struggled, like, I have to rein myself in. And we'll talk later about balance and regulation because I really enjoy divination. And what I realized is I have to split between doing readings and doing divination. I can't just give you a $30 divination. There has to be a difference. And so I can give you a $30 reading, but if you want divination, that's going to be a bit different. And then I have to treat them differently because if I do, what I realized is I was always doing divination. I was rarely ever doing a basic reading because I don't know how to be basic. Anytime someone's like, what's a basic reading? And I'm just like, calls. And I'm just like, what's a basic reading? Like, I do divination. So a natural entrepreneur, a great cook. I get down in the kitchen. I may not do the beautiful plating like a chef, only because I've never practiced. Which comes to the next one, many talents. And, people say jack of all trades and a master of none, but the full phrase is a jack of all trades, a master of none, but a jack of all trades is still better than a master of one. And I am definitely not simply a jack of all trades. Once I do something and do it enough, I become a master. So I'm not simply just a master of one. I'm like mastering, period. And that's one of the things, like, my gifts is always, I've said, like, I just know how to, like, if you teach it to me, I'm going to learn how to do it well. Like, I'm not just going to, okay, no. If you teach it to me, well. And even if you don't, I'm just going to go continue to do research until I know it well. And then I'm just going to excel at it. Which is where some regulation comes in because there are so many things, gifts, skills, and talents that children of Sango have that come naturally. That is a natural Aquarius thing. Aquarius is a sign of I know. So we know how to do these things because they're also deeply rooted in our DNA. They're in our cellular memory. They're in our spirit. So it takes nothing for us to bring it back to our conscious self to be able to do it tangibly. We talked about attention to detail, that desire to help others be great. And that is like the cornerstone of my business. It's not simply, about me doing readings. Like my goal, my intention is always to help illuminate your fullest self. And I have been doing that for, it feels weird to say this, dates, but decades. Like I've been doing that for decades, whether that was in that the call, it just is my call, and I have always been the one to do it. um Charismatic presence, and again, this was a thing that I didn't own initially, and it wasn't until like I really allowed myself to hear what people were saying, like, you are really charismatic, like you really have presence. And I'm like, all right, okay then. Okay. Beautiful ceremonies. And I love to do rituals, honestly. If I'm honest about it, I like to do rituals. And I desire greatly to do more with groups. They're cool by myself, but I really, really, really desire to make ritual with groups. And my show was a ritual, whether, people came knowing that or not, but I set that intention like, this is a ritual. Y'all are about to watch me ascend. This is a ritual. And I organized the show in that way, like we're making a ritual. And so I really love that. Even like, organizing my wedding and things like that, just anything I have put together, I, I feel like that's how I bring it to it. Um, Fortune tellers and master diviners. And dreams was a big thing that came up. And if you've been following me for a minute, you know I am a prolific dreamer, and I have been since I was a kid. I have always had very, very, very vivid dreams. I stopped having flood dreams because I was having them for years. I stopped having them when the flood in New York happened that year. I haven't had a flood dream since. I know other people who have, but I personally have not had a flood dream since then. Um, but being able to like dream walk, and more than one person in my circle has gotten that random message like, yo, you straight? Because you showed up in my dream. And they'll be like, why? What happened? And then I'll tell them, and they'll be like, and then I'll be like, so even most even most recently, and I'm gonna try to do this without crying. But even most recently, somebody came through my dream so strongly, I rolled over and messaged them. Like, yo, I don't know if this is me or you, but I need you to know dot dot dot. And they messaged me back like, it's probably a little bit of both, and this is what's going on. And I was just like, based on the dream, okay. Based on the dream, it's like, okay. But it's funny, the first time I went to do divination publicly, I went to this culture shop here in my city. And that morning I was trying to decide what to wear. And at that moment, that week, I had just learned that, and I wasn't initiated yet, but I had just learned that Sango was a master at divination. And I said, okay, I want permission to body you. I know I'm not initiated yet, but I also know that you're calling for me. So I'm asking for your help. So I used my intuition to get dressed. And that particular day, I wore a white top and a red skirt. The second location that I did public readings at, I took off. They were near the woods, so I took apples with me to give an offering, and thank you for a good day of divination. And it took a minute for me to say, like, yeah, divination, yes, and I enjoy it. It's not simply something I do to just offer as a service. There isn't a single service I offer on my site that is not something I enjoy, that I love, that I'm passionate about. I don't offer services just for the sake of making money. These are things I enjoy. If money didn't exist and we didn't need money, I'd still perform divination because I like it. And he talked about how our mind works when it comes to spiritual tools. And it made so much. It's like each tool you learn it, and it's just like boom, this comes naturally, and it really does. It really really does. Like for me, I'm so because I know someone's going to ask me after this, and no, I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. No, no, I am not currently offering services for E5 divination at this time. Not doing it right now. There's still some things I want to do better because I'm a child of Sango and it needs to be right. So there's still some things I want to do better, but I do divination for myself for E5, and I do know I do, I guess technically 4 forms of divination. So all 4 forms of E5 divination, yes, I am trained and skilled in all 4 of them. Beyond the 4 forms of E5 divination, I also read tarot and oracle cards. I have been studying I Ching. I'm studying astrology, numerology. I am a medium and an oracle. Sometimes I don't need nothing. Sometimes I'm just looking at you and I'm going to start talking. So, master divination, and um, that just was a thing. The dreams, um, but our natural energy as a child of Shango was king. And so there's a call to maintain a balance with that power. Like there's a lot, like you're king, you're a master diviner, you're charismatic. There's a lot of power. And that also shows even further for me. So you're the power of your words and your voice and how you use the voice and how your voice can influence people. And for me, there's a strong call to like, you need to make sure you manage this because of what, if you look at my birth chart, the place of my voice is ruled by Leo. This is divine masculine. So again, divine masculine, now we're looking at Shango again. But within the sign of Leo sits Jupiter. So now we have big, expansive, but it's in retrograde. So the better part of my life, this was internalized. And so if you know me, like, you know, even when I knew the answer, I didn't always want to be the first one to say it, but I always knew the answer. And chorus, you know, our 8th grade year, they're like, we're gonna do this song. Does anybody know the ad libs? I know all the ad libs. All of them? Yeah, by heart. I know every ad lib for this song. You want to know? I'll sing them. I will sing the ad libs, but do not make me stand in the front. I couldn't. That's at Jupiter retrograde. I needed it. Oh Lord. Like I didn't know I was doing healing work this morning. I was trying really hard not to cry on y'all. But that was important for me to say. So I wouldn't stand out front. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be seen. Even though I knew all the ad libs and I could sing. I could not. I shrunk back. I shrunk back. Um, they talked about I had to move past that, otherwise I want to really be in here really emotional. They talked about how the spiritual and metaphysical, how that presents in some children of Shango. And he talked about how he sees the men definitely get in the more spiritual side. Like they fully, Shango come down, they are fully in it, embody him. And, you know, where the women are a lot more metaphysical. And I think I'm in a middle spot. I'm definitely in the middle. And Um, and I think that's because of how I am as a medium. Because as a medium, I'm rarely ever gone at all. I'm always what someone called two-headed. So it's just we're together. We're in this together, and I'm just like we're sitting together. I never feel displaced. I never feel like I'm watching. I always feel like I am a part of it. So that may always be why, even if you could be in front of me talking to me, and unless you know or see and can sense, you may not even realize I'm in oneness at the time. But it happens very often. And so, whereas everyone else that was not necessarily in a spirit in that type of spirituality may not have known on Saturday, but the couple people who were, they could see it. I'm just like, I'm trying to hold it together. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go. I'm out. I'm just gonna be out. So I thought that was interesting that he said that, and I thought about, I was like, I'm a nice balance. I'm a very nice balance. He told a really cool story about a ritual in Haiti and how they were trying to bring the energies down, and they had to change how they were drumming and start drumming in the cadence for Shango and Yemaya. And once that energy was present, and they're like, okay, cool, thanks. And then the other energies would come. I thought that was really, really, really dope. I was probably biased, but I thought it was a dope story. Um, a lot of things that I heard early on about Shango was definitely about Shango being a womanizer, like to party and things like that. And a lot of times, people use the shadow aspects of energies to, you know, uh, forgive their, less than, Iwa Pele behavior. And I was thinking about the womanizer part, and I said, how could I see that shadow manifested in me? And I would say there is an aspect of me that definitely desires to be poly. That's an honest, vulnerable moment. Is there's an aspect and probably solo poly. Like I don't necessarily want to live with multiple partners, but there's a part of me that could easily just, yeah, I love you. And my heart is, but this is a heart thing. Like I will love you both. I will, I have even if I wasn't actively in a relationship with both, like that love, I love you. And I mean that. Like it's not like a little bit of love. Like I love you. Like I will go to war for you. I will go to war for you. But realizing that I am most at peace in my fullest self when I'm just in a monogamous relationship. So yeah, there's a shadow aspect of me. My Venus is in Sagittarius for my astrology folks. Sagittarius likes to wander, likes to be free. So my Venus is sitting there. So it's the energy is present, but my marriage energy is very much settled in I want one. I want one spouse, one partner, one divine counterpart. And I want that from them too. So I thought that, it was interesting how that shows up. Um, I actually had never heard that Shango was an alcoholic. I do give Shango alcohol, but I did not realize that was a shadow aspect of Shango. Um, and maybe I didn't realize it because I don't drink at all, like at all, like have no desire. In fact, when I'm giving alcohol, I'm like, how are y'all doing this? Ew, ew, y'all do this for fun? Ew, I cannot understand. So, I don't have that. I like to party, but I like the balance. Like, okay, I'm done partying now. Like Saturday was a party. Like y'all came to the show, but it was a party. We were having a real good time. So I liked the party. Um, I think they told a really, 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 really great story about Shango, Ogun, and Ochosi. And in this particular story, they're brothers and they're the sons of Obatala. And it was just a really good story about honoring who you are. And I realized that has come up for me in multiple occasions. Like I have been in, especially in relationships. I have been in relationships with people and they're like, we're going to do such a thing. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I really don't. And I understand now why that's probably one of the reasons why we ended up being pulled away from each other. And why I was being called to leave, even though I was hard headed and I had to have a tower moment. Why? Because my character and their character did not align. Um, I realized that even in the moments where I felt like I was going to cheat, I never could. I never could. I could never pull the trigger. Even when the opportunity presented itself, I'm like, I can't. I can't. I can't. Um, so I appreciate how they told this story, and they said you're not, he was loyal. Like his brothers are like, yo, don't snitch on us. He's like, I'm not gonna snitch on y'all, but I'm not gonna do what y'all doing either. I'm not gonna snitch on y'all, but I'm not rolling with you either. And I can relate to that. Like I'm not gonna say nothing, but yeah, I don't. That's not what I'm going to do. So I'm not someone like I don't feel any friends that drink, smoke, well, I don't do any of those things. I'm not going to judge y'all for doing it, but that's just not me. And one of the things my ELO they told me in my very first reading was, you're already living E5. You're already doing it. You're already like you're already in it, even though you're not initiated. You're walking with Iwa Pele. You're doing this and doing that. And I think it's because I know they talk about the children of Shango having to go through things and to get to that elevation. And I get it. And a lot of times they say they go through it post initiation, but I think for me, I personally went through all of mine pre-initiation. Like I've spent time not having a place to stay. That's why I've been doing a drive for the homeless for the last 3 years, is because I know what it feels like to not know where you're going to get food from, not know how you're going to be clean, not how. And I mean, there are times where I have like gone and gotten a full-time job and no one realized that that morning I had been sleeping in my car. They didn't know. They didn't know. And pride, because the children of Shango, our pride, will also get in our way. It's like, because we know we're good at everything. This is not like, no, I know I'm good at everything. So when we're not successful, it bothers us. He talked about depression in the children of Shango simply being around the fact that we know our potential. We know what we're capable of. And so when we fall short of what we deem is our own greatness, that hurts. That is heartbreaking. And I was like, yo, I can see that in me. Like I have an emotional attachment to my success. And I mean, it's like I'm literally designed that way. I have an Aries moon. So again, it's fire, but it sits in the place of public recognition. It sits in the house of legacy. It sits in the house of career success. So I have emotional attachment, because the moon is your emotions, to my legacy. And so when I fall short of what I deem my legacy to be, it makes me sad. And then it's like you don't show it. And I'm like, I remember coming out at work saying that I suffered from depression and I was on antidepressants. You know how, first off, there's a level of bravery in standing naked like that in front of people. And everybody's like, what do you mean? Like, you're always smiling, blah, blah, blah. And then when I told them the truth, like, this is what's going on. I had to hold my firstborn son till he died because they wouldn't do anything for him. And I sit with that guilt that I didn't fight harder for him. So that's why I fight so hard for my sons now, because I felt like I let my firstborn son down by not fighting harder. But I didn't know that I could. I was new and I didn't know what to do. I Wow, that hit. Okay. Ashe. Um, oh goodness. Okay. So I've had to go through those things, but I went through, I would say 90% of it before I got initiated. Like I would say it was everything. All these tower moments, the Dark Knight, I like all of that pre-initiation. It's not that I haven't had anything challenging emerge post-initiation. So I get it. I see the challenge. I really, really, really see the challenge. And I see why children of Shango hide their depression. And I see why I need to not do that, because shortcoming is not a failure. It's an opportunity for me to learn and just do it better the next time. And that furthers the success of it. It builds a stronger foundation for me. And I honor the fullness of the journey. And I realize that wanting to be perfect will keep me stuck, because I will wait. Like, is it right now? Is it right now? Is it right now? And I still have those moments. Is it right now? Like the book, like my book. Is it right? Should I go ahead? And yes, yes, it's fine. The show, that was an offering. That was an offering to my Ori, to my ancestors, to my angels, my guides, my Ori. That was an offering to divine, period. It was an offering to God. It said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter how many people show up. I'm going to do this anyway. And honor the feeling that there's a possibility that the shadow in me is going to feel like if there's not a packed house, we're not successful. And what Shango showed me is that success doesn't have anything to do with everyone else. It has to do with me and how I feel like I did. And Ashe, I am grateful for everyone else saying, yo, when is the next one? Because that joint was bomb. I'm grateful for that. But I realized that part of being Shango is you are the leader. You are the front. It doesn't matter. I'm the leader of this pack. And I need to honor the strength that that calls me to have. So I'm grateful for that. I'm really grateful for that. One of the tips, actually, hold on. He said something really cool about being a good parent and how, and there's stories about Shango going to like go to his kids, like Shango blacked out. And I can relate to that. Like, even when in my dreams, when I dream about something happening, whether it's to my kids or somebody I care about, this calm, cool, and collected me. Mm-mm. That is not who that is. Mm-mm. No, no. Struck by lightning is what will happen to you. Swiftly. And then I will reach your ancestral rights. Like that's how I feel. And that's how I feel when it comes to my kids. Like I'll be driving, I'm like, you're too close. Because if you hit my car, it's not gonna be good for you. If you hit my car with my kids, it's not gonna be good either way. But if you hit my car and my children are back there, no, no. Like I go to no, no. Like they are, I have to. I have to. I have sons. I'm great. I'm raising black kings. I'm raising small gods. And they both have special needs. So I have to make extra care that those around them care. And I'm always cognizant of the energies that I bring around them. So, um, but yeah, but they said learning patience because again, we're lightning. So lightning strike. But he gave a really great explanation about lightning that helps with the patience. Because for someone like someone that's experiencing a lightning strike, they're like, yo, this was fast, it came out of nowhere. Whoop. But thinking about what it takes for lightning to strike and the balance of the positive and the negative, the light and the shadow coming together in harmony. They're both in the same space at the same time. There's a blending of energy. And that was powerful because for me, in the work that I'm doing, the inner work I'm doing with myself and with my students, it's like your light and your shadow should cohabitate the same space. They should be in harmony. It's not about eliminating your shadow, it's about illuminating it. It's about both of y'all sharing space together because the shadow does not exist without the light. Shadow does not exist without light. A shadow is only a shadow because light is present. It's not darkness, it's a shadow, and that's different. So you're standing there, your light and your shadow, holding space together in perfect harmony and perfect balance. And that is the lightning. That's your lightning. That's your storm. And then what happens when it strikes? Then you've got thunder, you've got stones being created, and you have fire. So all of these things happening in perfect synchrony. So you have to relegate that because that's a lot of power. That's a lot of power. So being able to be passionate, be fiery, be thunderous, and have lightning, but do so in a way that it's not people are not being struck by your lightning. They just get to see it. They don't have to be struck unless they got to be struck. But being able to see your lightning and be able to stand in the midst of your storm and be, it's like standing in a rainstorm on a summer and it's warm and you're just like, it's thunder and lightning and everything, but it feels so good. That's my intention of how I want my storm to present, unless you need something else. Unless you need something else. Long we good? That's how my storm is gonna always be. It's gonna be a warm storm in the rain. It's a warm, rainy day. A little lightning, it's a little thunder, nothing too heavy. And you're just like, I'm gonna play out in the puddles. Yep, I'm gonna go out here, play in the puddles, dance in the rain. That's me. That's my Shango. That's my Shango. So I really am grateful because I realize I have always been Omo Shango. I've always been Shango's daughter. And, to take it a step further, I did divination, realize, trying to see which Orisha have been with my family. Shango's been with my family. Like, it's not this, like, it's been with my family. And Ashe, like, I can appreciate that. And I appreciate the storm. I appreciate the confidence. I appreciate the ability to be all facets of myself easily. And like, I don't have to do or be or something else to still be all that I am. I don't have to dress a certain way for it to be evident who I am. I don't have to have my hair a certain way to be evident. I got locks because that's how I visualize myself in the future, and that's how I visualize Shango. Like, and I didn't realize, you know, my locks were a sign of the awakening. I locked my hair on a whim. Woke up one Saturday morning, it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna two strand twist my hair and let it lock. And so it's the journey with Ifa itself has been really rewarding. Um, I'm gonna do one for Yemoja because yeah, but I felt like this was appropriate for me to do Shango because Shango was the one that I initially struggled to realize was present, and now, yeah, I get it. I see it. So thank you so much, uh, Joseph Baba Ifa Modupwe, for your video. And thank you to Shango for encouraging me to honor you in this way. If you like this, show a sister some love. Like, if you're new here, hit the subscribe. I would really love to hit 100 subs. So hit the subscribe button for more content like this, all things spiritual, me being a mom is spiritual, me being just anything about my spiritual journey, and whatever other messages I feel like I need to share. So if you like that, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much. I hope y'all have a beautiful day.